All right. Hello, guys. Can you hear me? Excellent. Muted. Who's muted? Am I muted? That is not funny. You cannot fuck with me like that. It is COVID time. There is another person. Let me introduce our guest. And then I will take the minute to see how everyone is doing because, check-ins during COVID time is important. Yes, so our guest in the left-hand corner is Dr. Mark Chen. He wrote the book that was your reading for today. Those of you who are keeping up with Discord know that you needed to fully read the intro, conclusion, and skim in the middle. Not that the whole book's not important, it really is. However, they only had a week to read it, so, timing. Um, the Taco Cat is like, oh, I see you read the whole book. I expect really great questions from you, Taco Cat. We are not going to solo Martin Core. First of all, there's two of us, so we're not going to solo anything. And two, um, I think we're like level 13. I'm level 13. Are you level 13? Did you log into our duo? That's what I did. Right? It has been so long. You're level 12. All right, close enough. Now, yeah, I don't remember any of the controls. This is gonna be noob hour. Oh, I'm being told that you are muted. Well, they can't hear you. I can hear you. So that means this is a device problem that I can fix in OBS. Do, 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 do. All right, let's try this again. Can you say hi?
Hello.
All right, so now y'all. All right, so now
Yay.
they can all hear you. Yay.
Don't
Okay.
want to deprive the world of my lovely voice.
I mean, otherwise, what am I gonna have you do? Like start miming answers to questions? Um,
I do play a mean game of charades.
all right, so I'm in the inn in Barrens.
Wait, so am I. What the?
Okay. Where are you?
Oh, there you are. Sorry, I'm stealthed. There. See,
Cool. Now I just gotta remember how to start a party. Oh, I think I go up here. Yep, that's how we do it. Invite.
my game audio isn't working.
Um,
Okay.
okay. What are we doing? We need something to do. Here.
There's always stuff to kill, I guess. The quests that I have, this is from like a year ago. I mean,
Yeah, I
the
know.
last time I logged in was for your class, like last year.
Yeah. Um. Uh. Shift click to add or remove quest. Okay. Shift click.
So I've
Um.
got like kill some plane striders, kill some raptors, explore some waters.
Yeah, I'm just gonna like. Oh. Yeah, track those, and then we can go do the things. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds fine.
All right. I feel like a simple kill quest is the way to do it, so that we can also like talk without getting lost in the quest.
Uh-huh. I don't
Uh,
know where these are though.
yeah, me either. Just
Oh yeah, I
uh,
remember the raptors are towards whatchamacallit, that goblin village down at the sea here, if I remember right.
okay.
Isn't that sad? Like it's like a 15-year-old memory, right?
Mhm.
This is occupying my head when I should be like memorizing the streets of Seattle or something like that instead.
Oh, Wait, someone is saying that this game was a Diarrhea Christmas Lights? I think that if you think that, then you have not actually seen Diarrhea Christmas Lights. Um,
Did you say diarrhea of Christmas lights?
I did. I did. Do you
I,
not know this one?
no, I don't. I don't know what you're talking about. Let's kill this. These a bunch of play striders here.
Yes. So I don't remember now exactly the situation of this starting, but it basically referred to like juiciness. Like have you seen in like mobile, like some like free mobile games especially, they'll have like you do something right and then it's just like a ton of like particle effects and shaking and God knows what else, and it's just overkill. That is diarrhea of Christmas lights.
Oh, that's not this game. That's more
No.
like like Black Desert or something like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. That's why when somebody mentioned it, I was like, what are you talking about? It's not World of Warcraft. Um,
Well, I guess you could have certain add-ons that do all that stuff too.
I mean, if you do, it feels like that's a personal problem.
My game audio is coming out of my speakers and not my headphones. This is very weird.
It's weird. Um, okay, Ninja Taco, we obviously missed it. Please re-put your question in there. However, if your question was about the Grammys, we're not taking class time to talk about it.
Um, BTS did not get the recognition they deserved.
Uh, oh, actually, Mrs. Sage, that's a good point. If you are in the middle of a raid and you have all the settings up, there are moments where this could be Diary of Christmas Lights. Have you gotten any beaks? I'm wondering if we're maybe not in the right place.
No, I haven't. I see some questions. Should I be fielding questions or let
Um,
you field them all?
no, you're here. So they will. Okay, first of all, before I lose it, Ninja Taco asks, Chen, what do you think was the point of no return in coming to the death of the group? And then real quick, I'm just going to say for all the students, um, you you will get credit for asking Dr. Chen thought-provoking and discussion-provoking questions. And that's how you're getting participation credit for today. Um, so we'll start with Ninja Tacos. And he even directly addressed you. What do you think?
So the point of no return of my group, that's in the book, I assume. Um, there was that what sort of started the whole thing off was an incident where somebody posted to our raid forums, um, basically complaining about not being invited to a Saturday, an unscheduled like raid event, and that sort of like was the catalyst, I think, of everything. Things had been building up for several weeks until then. In terms of like, it was summer, if I remember right. I mean, so, okay, you probably all have a better idea or of what was, it's been a while since I wrote that book, but it was summer break, and so people had different schedules and everything. And then towards the end of summer, um, I think that forum post was probably August or something like that. So we already had like a couple months of like not the best communication, I guess. And so some people were already feeling kind of left out of activities, like whoever could meet up would just meet up sometimes, right? And so people who normally, I guess, during the school year felt like they were part of the group and everything were feeling disconnected and everything. Um, and when there was that raid event, um, with most of the people, but not everyone who was a regular person in the group, they felt like they were being sort of like looked over, I guess, like being passed by. Um, Here's the raptors we can kill, and so I think that's the thing that sort of is you know, was the thing, I guess. Um, Although I guess it was inevitable. Like that was the catalyst, but I think it was inevitable that we would have had a fight. It was just a matter of when that was going to happen. Um, I guess theoretically, maybe if the school year had started, uh, the old gang could have had gotten back together again, and then things would have been sort of like uh, would have sort of alleviated itself, like solved itself before the rupture happened. But you know, I don't know. It didn't happen that way.
I mean, makes for good data, right? Uh, my research group ended up. Oh! Oh my god. Way to pay. That was I wasn't paying attention. That's what happens when I stream sometimes. I get so into conversation and listening that I don't pay attention to all the details. Um, yeah, I was just gonna say my master's thesis group, my research group for that, split off in the middle of my research. It was both horrible and wonderful.
So how do you pay attention to all that text?
So how it works, and you know, it takes a couple of weeks, first of all, for everybody to get used to this. But there's about 200 students in the class, so I don't pay attention to all the class. What I do is in between questions, I'll take a moment, and then the person who gets commented on or gets their question answered is the person who happens to luckily be on the screen when I look over. And that's
So
how it
I've
works.
seen like at least a dozen questions have come by, and I'm like, oh geez.
Sure. Yeah. Um, so what they do is they screenshot in order to get credit, and then we have a master list of everyone's screen name, so that we know who to give credit to. Um, but I mean, if
Do
you
you have
think,
TAs?
yeah, I have TAs also. But I mean, if you really think about it, right? Like before I started doing this on Twitch, this class was in a large lecture room, and it's not like I was going to hear from 200 students in the lecture room either, you know?
That's true. Yeah.
And
So do you have a mechanism for like filtering, like seeing if any of the questions are similar to each other, clumping them, and then feeding you or the guests like the questions? You know what I mean?
um, no, not really. So in theory, I have told the TAs who in theory are also all in chat, that if they ever see a question that looks really, really good and I have missed it, they can feel free to bring it to my attention. But that generally doesn't happen. I mean, generally what actually happens is the questions or the answers, because a lot of times I ask questions and then they answer for credit, um, are really good. This is actually a really great group of students. They get really engaged. And so, me essentially ignoring some of what is being said is just because there's too many good things for me to respond to in the hour and 15 minutes that is this class. Um,
I
so,
answered
yeah.
one in chat.
um, so, okay, so actually, let's go with this one. I don't think this is the one you answered in chat because I didn't see your answer in chat. But Sarv City says, Dr. Chen, I'm not sure if you're aware of Stephen Gillett, but he's an American businessman who puts his WoW achievements on his resume based on his experiences with managing raids and a bank vault. How feasible do you think this is for someone to do? Do you think it can be a good indication of leadership skills?
I've heard of that before. Like, there were stories, um, of Silicon people having meetings and talking about World of Warcraft and raiding together and stuff, and then using that as a way to like get interviews at companies or whatever. Putting it on your resume, like I have heard of that before too. I'm not sure, like if it means as much now as it did 10 years ago. Um, for certain groups of people, it would totally make sense. Um, and then I think, when you do a resume, just in general, you kind of want to tailor your resume to whatever you're applying for, right? So like, if you're applying to a game company, I think it would be totally appropriate, um, because chances are the people there like know what you're talking about when you mention World of Warcraft, and chances are at least some of them have actually played it, so they know what you're talking about and everything.
Hmm.
Um, in terms of applying to some other type of industry, I don't think I would put it front and center, but usually in your resume you have like a other skills or whatever, other experience section. I think it's relevant there. I actually put it on my CV before. Um, like just at the very end of my CV where you have like you list your other associations or whatever, I would put like the guild name and stuff. Um, I don't think it meant anything to anyone except unless there was somebody on the committee who like also has played the game or something like that. Um, but that was pretty often actually because I was applying to jobs um, that were about like games and learning and stuff. Um, if it's worked for him, then it's worked, I guess, right?
Hmm. Well, there's also the networking aspect. So sometimes it is sure. So they read an article about this guy, um, and he was talking more about like the leadership skills and whatnot. But there's also the networking factor of games like this, and not just this one, right? So I don't know. Probably nobody in this class knows, but I think I've talked about it in past semesters. I have the job I have right now because I was playing in a D&D group with one of my now colleagues.
Yeah, and I got one of my first jobs out of graduate school was working. I was a professor at Pepperdine University in an online uh, doctoral program on learning technologies. And the reason why I got that job is because Linda was the director of the program, and she was also in Terra Nova, which is this academic guild that um, Dr. Lee and I are in as grad students. Dr. Malone, sorry.
I was wondering, it took me a second and I'm like, is he referring to me or somebody else? Because I was
Yeah.
in that guild.
Well, you kept referring to me as Dr. Chen, which is, this isn't not how we normally refer to each other.
Uh, no. Um, that's because you and I normally are more social friends and less work friends. I
Well, so
think.
at Madison,
Yeah.
does everyone refer to the professors as Doctor so and so?
Um, so I have, okay, yeah, I would really like chat uh to chime in here. So some of them are saying yes, some of them are saying hardly. Most people are saying professor. It depends on the professor. Um, some of the professors don't have a doctorate. That is also true, especially if you're taking a lot of art classes. A lot of them have terminal degrees, which is an MFA.
Hmm.
Um,
So you say professor just to be on the safe side, unless you actually know.
right.
Um,
Depends on what grade you want. That's a great way to say it. I think we don't want to go into Ratchet yet, right? So we want to go back here to finish these quests, I think. Is that true?
yeah, it was on the way to Ratchet was where we were gonna find those dinosaurs, which we did. So we should go back to where they were, I guess,
Yes.
and just
Okay.
keep killing them.
So in my experiences at Madison, a vast majority of students will call, before I say anything or introduce myself, vast majority of students will call me either doctor or professor.
Hmm.
Anyways, um, and most of my colleagues get referred to as a doctor. I noticed that when I came in my first year. Um, so yes, I generally go by Dr. Malone,
All right.
which is
Um,
why I was then calling you Dr. Chen because I didn't want to be like I'm gonna go by doctor, but then call you you Mark. That would seem weird to me. But
we
really, I was referring to the fact that you called me Dr. Lee
Yeah,
instead
I'm
of
sorry. I'm
Dr.
sorry.
Malone.
I had brain aneurysm right there or whatever.
It's totally fine. It actually happens all the time. I probably get referred to as Dr. Lee as much as I get called Dr. Malone. It's totes cool.
It's also made more complicated because we knew each other before either of us were doctors.
That is also true. All these true things. All right. Let's see. There are more. Do that so I
So
don't
this is a fun class. We just chat about whatever the hell.
Um, oh, this is definitely one of my favorite classes. Um, as long as it's all on topic, I'm pretty cool with tangents. Wow, okay, this is like a long question. It's going to take me a minute to read this. Dr. Chen, you talked about playing WoW in its early days where the norms and outline of how to play and communicate were still being developed. Do you think was more helpful for you so you could learn along with the community, or would it be easier for a new player to come in and already have a sort of handbook or guideline on how to interact with other players? Who would develop that expertise faster? An early adopter who grows with the game, or a noob who can learn the rules? That is super pertinent to this class called Video Games and Learning. And I definitely have thoughts on that. But we have Dr. Chen here to answer.
I think in terms of coming into an established community and learning the norms of that community would be faster, um, because they're sort of like um, all that sort of pre-negotiation or initial negotiation, everything is done already. So it's like that's basically what happens when you go to college, right? It's like you are taking classes of certain disciplines that have sort of established what counts in those disciplines already, and you're doing like a shortcut to learn all that stuff. Like imagine if you had to um, figure out calculus on your own. It took Newton, a while, and humans like centuries to do that. So like, you can just take calculus in one semester and sort of get basically the same level of understanding um, as like Newton in 1 year or something like that, I think. And then, you wouldn't know it as well, probably because you didn't invent it and all that stuff. But theoretically, you would know like certain formulas and all that stuff, and how certain things work, derivatives and all that, right? But in terms of being an expert, I think being an expert is really about participating in that community and um, affecting the community just as much as it's affecting you. I think where if you're a full participant, the actual like highest level of knowledge or whatever or practice of a community is always changing, and um, displaying expertise is sort of like um, knowing the highest level of whatever it is that counts, and so that stuff is always sort of um, on and dynamic and being negotiated, and so in order to become like an expert, I think maybe about the same amount of time, but in order to learn like the basics, I think it's way faster to join an established thing.
Sorry, I had to. I was like typing in another answer while you were
Yeah,
answering
I see.
to
I
try
see
to
that.
get all the things answered. Um, uh, yeah, guys. So I shouldn't say that. Yes, people, students. The physics didn't change, so we still can only do so much in the time period. So no, if your question doesn't get answered, it can still count. It will still count. I feel like there should be more of these guys around.
I have sorry, 5 heads so far.
I have 3.
Okay.
It just
There
feels like
used to
there's
be a nest.
downtimes in. Yeah, where's that? Because I feel like we have a lot
Uh,
of downtime in between fighting.
Right. I don't remember where the nest is. I thought it was around here somewhere. Maybe it's. I'm gonna run down this little path here a little bit.
As always, backseat gaming is allowed if anyone wants to Google this for us. Please do.
This game.
Will there be questions to answer for credit in this lecture? No. You need to come up with a question. We're doing it that way. Actually, no. I'll give you one. I'll give you one for those of you who, I don't know, maybe are like nervous about asking questions. So why don't we do that now? Well, Dr. Chen and I figure out where this nest is. And that question
You know
is
what?
what?
You know what? Something that I thought of
What?
that I don't know how you would do this, or maybe I don't know. I don't know how you would do this, but like, there's so many questions, right?
Hmm.
You could have a like, you have to ask a question, but then also indicate somehow, like on a scale or something like that, how badly you actually want your question answered.
So there, for anybody who takes the time to like really learn Twitch, there is a way that they could do that. Once in a while, students will do that. I haven't brought it to anyone's attention because I'm afraid that then everybody will do it, and then it will just defeat the purpose.
Mm,
Um, and endless nines just put it in. The solution to that one would be to at the professor. Yes, because then it highlights the question.
mm.
There we go. Spoilers. Um,
Well, I have some students who I don't know. Maybe it would be too problematic, or equally problematic. Because I have some students who have really good questions, but they're too shy, right?
mhm.
And then I have other students who think they always have good questions, but they are wrong.
um, Come on now. There's no bad questions unless the answer's on the syllabus. Um, So we also have a Discord server. So if anybody has, like when it comes to credit, they have to do it during the Twitch chat, right? But if anybody has a question and they're like, yeah, but I really want this answered and I don't get it during the stream, um, any of these conversations can go over to the Discord server. And I, don't answer those necessarily in real time, but we then can have an asynchronous discussion about anything that was missed. Oh shit.
You're talking too much.
Sorry. Yeah, so anyways,
I'm at the other UW. I'm at University of Washington,
yeah.
and there's my email in the chat now. So if you actually have a question that you want answered that we don't cover, you can just email me.
Damn it. I got distracted by chat. Um, if you... No, I'll ask. Maybe I should ask you this off stream so I don't like... Do not feel compelled to say no because I'm going to ask you this question. Don't feel compelled to say yes because I'm going to ask you this question privately. Nobody will think any worse of you. But I could also invite you to our Discord server. I'd be more than happy to have you there.
Oh, sure. I mean, I'm in like, what's another Discord server, right? Like
I
I'm
know,
in
right?
so many. I'm
Uh,
in, maybe I shouldn't mention, but like, you have your private one that I'm in also that I don't pay attention to at all because there's just too many Discord servers.
uh, Gee, thanks. No, it's fine.
But yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I can join your class and ignore it too. That's totally fine.
I Yeah, I have recently discovered that you can put your Discord servers into folders. This has made my life pretty uh, it has made my life a little easier to respond to the ones that I want to respond to. Um, because I've grouped them into folders on topics. So I have a folder for all the class discords. I have a folders for academic discords. I have a folder for like the Twitch channel discords I follow and all of that. But anyways, I had told my students I was going to give them a question for the ones who are afraid to ask questions. And what I want to ask you is this. So y'all played World of Warcraft. Most of you, I shouldn't say most, I don't know. Some of you played the free trial. I know that some of you um, were already playing. But what, if anything, did you think of the learning curve um, starting the trial? So now, for those of you who've been playing for a while, honestly, this question's not for you, but if you want to answer it, that's fine. But as a new, what I'm really looking for is as a newbie coming in, and then having this reading about expertise and reading about all these high-level players, how did that feel trying to come in and learn this game?
What? You die too?
I
Jeez.
did die right after you, but I also killed the thing, so that counts, right? Or I thought
Yeah,
I
watch
killed the
out.
thing,
Watch
maybe I
out.
didn't.
There's a hyena.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay.
Uh, yep,
I put
fit.
my Discord name in the chat in case someone wants to add me too. But if you do add me in Discord, please let me know who the hell you are. Um,
Right. I have 3 friend requests in Discord right now that I've just been sitting there because I won't friend people if I don't know who they are. Alright, I think if I do that, it should be far enough away. Maybe if I also just move a little bit.
yeah,
Why is it
I would.
coming here?
I have an answer to your question. I mean, I agree basically with endless nines.
Shit. I got aggro.
Okay. Oh, geez, you're almost dead. Now I'm gonna die.
Damn it! We were not supposed to noob it up during the expertise stream.
Oh, come on. If this is not a game I'm an expert in at all anymore.
I mean, I know, I know. I just, um, I'll be honest. My plan, had I not forgotten what day it was uh, because COVID, and I don't leave my house anymore, was to ask you if you wanted to play a couple times before class.
Mm,
And then I didn't. Why is it telling me my corpse is only back at the graveyard? What is happening?
I don't know. I see your corpse. It's where I am. Do you see where my dot is?
Well, it's toward Ratchet, I think. I don't see your dot either. So I'm gonna start going in that direction and hopefully it comes up.
Okay.
I wonder
Do
if
you
that...
want me to just pick a rando question?
Oh, sure, go for it.
It's scrolling up too fast. I was in the middle of reading one. It's now off the screen, so let me pick a different one.
Oh, you definitely want to like scroll over into the chat and then it'll pause if you try scrolling. That's how I do
Oh,
that.
gotcha.
That's how I get questions in. Sorry, I didn't,
Let me scroll back to the one because I was halfway through.
it's not popping up. This is so weird.
These questions are long. Like,
So the reason a lot of them are long is also because they have to show in their question and comments that they actually like did the homework, right? So if somebody were to say, "Hey, Dr. Chen, what do you think of World of Warcraft?" they would not get credit for it.
Got it. So when someone asked me earlier if they like Shrek, that didn't count.
That did not count. All of the questions about the Grammys also did not count.
I missed
Uh,
them all.
it was right at the beginning of class. I am so
Okay.
lost. I have no idea where to go.
Um, maybe if I stand when you get close enough, you should be able to see me, right? Even though you're a ghost.
In theory, but it's actually, it was, well, now it's not. Before it was telling me that you are at the graveyard.
Where the hell are you in Ratchet?
I think so, right? This is the edge of Ratchet.
Yeah, but you've gone too far.
Oh,
We
okay.
are come back.
Okay.
um, do you see the gallows? Like if you run up the road away from Ratchet, there should be gallows on the left-hand side at some point. Yeah, okay, I see where you are.
Oh, I see. I think I see you now.
So on the left, see those gallows right there?
Yes.
Okay,
No.
I see you. Do you see me? I'm on top of the hill here, jumping up and down. Look up.
Yes. Oh, that's why it was being weird, because I resurrected right here.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Now I just need to go around to the other side so I can get up.
Okay, I'm picking a random one. I'm picking
Do
this one right
it.
here by J. Byrne Z. Dr. Chen, relating to the idea of applying expertise in a video game, to what extent do real world skills apply to video games? Do you think that as video games improve, become more realistic, this translation of skills becomes more apparent? For example, maybe a video game world as seen in the movie Ready Player One. Um, it depends on the game. There are some games that are meant to simulate some aspect of reality, and um, for those simulations, a fidelity to reality is necessary, and they actually are training games. Like you can flight simulators, for example, right? Um, or driving simulators, um, like actual driving simulators where you're driving around in traffic and you have to follow traffic laws and stuff like that. Um, or like really, really realistic flight simulators where you have to flip all the switches and all that stuff. So that's like almost a one-to-one translation, right? So then if you learn how to fly in the flight simulator, then you have a really good sort of like um, understanding of like an actual plane, especially if you're in one of the ones that like rotate and do all this other stuff, right? Um, but other games that are, there's like a spectrum, and you get on the other extreme where like you have games that are nothing at all like reality, and you can still learn stuff from those games though. Like the process of learning a game, most games are like some sort of thing to try to puzzle out to figure out how they work and everything, and that process of um, basically trying certain things, you think this thing happen, and so you do some sort of action, and then the game world gives you feedback, and you come to understand that action differently because of that feedback and everything. I mean, all that is basically the scientific method, right? You have an idea of what's going to happen if you do something, and you do it, and then it doesn't happen the way you think, so you have to revise what your mental model of that world or that game system is. I mean, that's basically the same process that we use to understand our natural world. And so like um even if the game itself doesn't have a fidelity to our real life, I still think, because by nature games are these systems, figuring out how to play a game is similar to figuring out how to be in the world, I think, um, in certain extents. Like I think part of what is also required, and Jim G talks about this too, is like you need a one thing that's really important is like being reflective about your practice, and being able to make the connection. A lot of the issue with transfer is that people don't see um, how this one domain relates to this other domain, but if and then a teacher's role could be to help students sort of like make the connection between domains. But if like you can do that on your own, then that's a super leg up. So like every situation you're in, you can learn something from it and apply it to a different situation, even though it's a completely different situation, but like a lot of it is about ways of um um I guess seeing the world and then trying different ways of being in the world. um you know what I mean, if that makes sense. I don't know where you are.
Okay, so I think I go to the west. So we need to go. It's in Southern Barrens. I googled it. West of North Watch Holt.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure where North Watch Holt is, but
You're being attacked.
Oh
Uh-oh.
crap!
We yeah, we like the challenge of fighting monsters that are 3 levels ahead of us. Why is this guy not helping? This rando person just rode by me on this stupid mount.
Ah, what a jerk. It does feel bad.
I guess I'll wait for you. Um,
As opposed to what? Disappear?
I don't know. I mean, I could just run off.
That's true. You could.
Um, okay. I'll pick another random question.
Cool. I
Actually, it's
could
not
too
really
if you
random.
want
It's
to.
like whatever is latest.
Yeah.
Oh shit. All right, hold on. Let me protect your body here. That's what I'm doing. Oh, this is gonna be bad.
I am not surprised, Fangandel, that there is at least one person, my guess, possibly more, that are sitting in class going, yes, I like watching my professor just die over and over again.
It's so close. Man, I like used a bandage and a health potion and everything.
Um, maybe we should just go back up to the road and then take the road south for safety. What do you think?
So, come James Apt Unit 506. um, says that they're asking the question a second time, I guess.
They really want it answered. Okay.
So having expertise in a team in World of Warcraft could influence someone's real world experience. So that's a question, I guess. Could you take an example of that, since I think the case is only limited for a few people? For example, what if you are programming your character in the game as a healer? How could the expertise strengthen your expertise in the real world? Um, I don't think there's that much of a correlation or a one-to-one mapping of like a particular character class in World of Warcraft to like some, I don't know, archetype or profession or whatever in the real world. I don't think that's the expertise we're talking about. It's more about um well, teamwork in general, right? So like in World of Warcraft, what it does really well is um define different roles and responsibilities. And I think in the real world, having a team also have certain roles and responsibilities, like, identified, and then certain team members agreeing to take on um some of those roles and responsibilities is good too. Jesus Christ, I'm gonna leave you alone.
Yeah, you should, because I'm gonna die. It's fine. All right.
um,
Oh my god. This is
and so
horrible.
like, let's say you are working in some company and you are on a team. Often they're called cross-functional teams, you know, where like, so certain people have certain things that they're like primarily in charge of, right? So in World of Warcraft, it would be like, you know, I play a rogue, you know, but there are other classes out there, right? That each has a certain thing that they're supposed to be doing in a fight. In the in a team, like if you're at Amazon or something like that, certain coworkers are sort of in charge of certain things that need to be done, and or if you're on like a design in a design company or something, you know, you've got like artists, programmers, UX researchers. You've got people who are in charge of like overall design. You've got, you know, user interface designers. Right? Each person is sort of like in charge of of a thing, right? But um, and then what's important is being able to communicate with each other and sort of stay in sync. And so that requires, you know, it requires meetings and it requires basically having an agenda, and what like you should be working on each week and everything, and all that sort of coordination work is like this extra stuff. But that translates everywhere. Like you do that anywhere. Like if you're on a school group and you're working on a project together, you need to actually be communicating with each other, so you know what each person is sort of working on a daily or weekly basis, so that you can sort of identify what needs to still be done, and then somebody can pick up the slack and everything. You know, when I assign group work to students, um, I force them to um, basically sign a team contract, and they have to identify certain roles and responsibilities that they're going to be primarily in charge of, but not strictly in charge of. So like, even if like let's say I decide I'm going to do character art for like this game design project that I'm working on, that's not the only thing I'm going to be doing, but it's the thing that's my primary role. But if I need help from other people, they'll hop into it. And then if I see other people on my team who need help with something, I'm going to hop in and do whatever it is that they need help with, right? So like in the real world, like it isn't so much like, I think like you learn how to heal people in World of Warcraft, and then that how that translates to you know, whatever. It's more about you've learned um, how to sort of identify what needs to be done for your role, and then in the real world you make the same sort of like logical reasoning um, assessment about like what tasks need to be done, and then you figure out how to do it. You know, that process of sort of like um, just being aware, I guess, of what the current state is the thing that I think translates really well. And so, if and again, it requires reflection. It requires a little bit of introspection. It requires an ability to sort of understand, um, or to have this picture in your head of what an ideal version of your team would be, and then how to fill in any sort of development gaps that you need to fill in order to get to that ideal picture of your team, right? It includes an ideal picture of yourself and where you fit into the team. Um, you know, and a lot of it is like doing um, like the process of becoming an expert in the game, um, is a lot of it is about trying to figure out what you need to be doing, and then figuring out like what tools and resources and stuff you can rely on in order to do the thing that you're supposed to be doing. And I think that's true in real life too. So if you end up on a team where like, you know, you're given let's say you're given a thing that you're supposed to be doing that you actually don't have very much experience in, well, just Google the shit out of it, right? Like figure out how to do it, watch YouTube videos, learn that there's a certain way of doing things, and then try to mimic that way of doing things. It's, you know, that way of learning how to do something, I think, is the same. I don't know if that answers your question. James, but hopefully it does.
I mean, I think a lot of what MMOs teach uh, are soft skills, right? So it's not a one-to-one correlation, like you said, but it's all these things that you actually need to be able to do in order to be successful in life that often aren't directly taught.
Yeah, totally. I mean, you practice talking to each other. It's also kind of different for different ages of people. Some people play World of Warcraft or started playing World of Warcraft when they were really, really, really young, and in those cases, I feel like um, it is a good way of sort of like learning just basic socialization and like learning how to talk to strangers and stuff like that. I think you can practice that in this game. But um, in terms of teamwork and everything, it's all about coordination and communication. Being like aware of what everyone else is doing so that you know where you fit in.
So actually was going to start walking toward the raptors, but we found these on the way.
Hmm. And um, my raptor quest. Where is this thing? Oh, my thing was like not updating my quest log. Jesus Christ, stop running.
Right? So annoying. Why don't you just passively let us kill you? Just kidding.
I don't remember how to pull up. Oh, there we go. The abilities.
Spirited cookie. Unrelated to Shrek. Correct. Your question needs to be unrelated to Shrek. Your question needs to be thoughtful and discussion provoking. It should show that you did the reading, i.e., be on topic.
Okay, so Mag on number 5, Mago number 5. Is there a lot of toxicity in WoW community where it isn't a good idea to have kids socialize on there? Like, I get that everyone online community should be decent people, but anonymous of online presence makes learning social skills different on a platform like this than with peers that are your own age. There's toxicity in many, many, many game communities and in gaming in general, I would say, and it's one of the massive disappointments of my life, I feel like, where I really like gaming and I really like people who I meet and everything. I hate that so many people are assholes. But it's sort of a reflection of society in general, I think. But in terms of World of Warcraft, I think it is a little bit less likely that you're gonna meet as many assholes as who play like a competitive game. Any MOBA or like team based shooter game or whatever are gonna have more assholes, I think, because of the nature of how those games work. But then within World of Warcraft, you have a bunch of different sub communities too. Like you have different types of servers. If you're a parent and you have like a 10-year-old and you're wondering if they should play World of Warcraft, like I would argue join a PvE or even a roleplay server, and the chances of finding people who are assholes are going to be pretty low. But in terms of like, I don't know, like feeling uncomfortable that you don't know the ages of the people that they're communicating with and all that, I think you might need to just let that idea go, because like we're in the internet age now, and it's really easy to find some chat room or whatever, and you don't know the ages of people in chat rooms either. Like I would rather, if I was a parent, I don't have any kids, but if I was a parent, I'd rather they play World of Warcraft than like hang out and Snapchat or something like that.
Um, so I actually want to follow up on that, uh, because I would also argue that there's a lot of toxicity in schools. Bullying is real. I know some people pretend it's not. But we don't stop sending our kids to school, right? Even if they are being bullied, we don't stop sending them to school. Like, that is not the answer, right? We give them tools for dealing, well, hopefully we give them tools for dealing with that, work with the parents and teachers or whatever, depending on the situation. Um, but also, um, I feel like there is, on the one hand, I understand the importance of socializing with people of your own age when you're a child, but also I don't think that it necessarily means that if there is somebody who is significantly older, socializing or talking with your child, that it necessarily means it's going to be a bad thing. And I actually have a very specific and awkward story on that because last summer, um, so last summer, I was running into some computer problems before I upgraded to this new rig. And if my computer was being especially bad, i.e. I couldn't stream what I was supposed to be streaming, I would go to my PS4 and stream Little Big Planet. Um, and I didn't realize that I'd clicked the option for letting people to join me. And I had, in the middle of stream, all of a sudden, this tiny, tiny voice start talking to me. um, and I did not ask them how old they were, especially because I was in the middle of streaming, and I didn't want to do that. But based on the vocabulary they used and the way they related to me, I would guess that this kid was probably somewhere around like 8 to 10 years old, um, and um, it's not that I like sought out a small child, but also I didn't like I took into account that I was suddenly talking to a small child and acted accordingly, right? Which for me mostly meant that I stopped swearing, since I tend to do that when
Guess
I stream.
I guess the danger is not every adult's gonna act like you,
Right.
right? So like,
And I get
you
that.
know,
I just wanted to say, like, not every adult is evil either. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like, I'm sure what I did was not, like, so unique that it, like, should have made the nightly news.
Right. I would say there are more positive interactions than there are negative interactions. The problem is the negative interactions have such a drastic effect sometimes that um, it's really bad. But I don't think in most games they eclipse the number of positive interactions. Um, I mean, there's always that balance you have to play, and companies themselves should be sort of responsible for trying to maintain civility and stuff like that in their player base. Some companies do it way better than others. Um, I think, yeah, I don't know. We there's so many. I don't know if your class has covered like Gamergate and stuff like that, but there's so much shit that's gone on in the last 5 years. It's just um, like I'm this year. because of COVID and all that. I'm like basically, I think, just stupefied, um, and I don't know. I have hope, but it's not like I'm like actively trying to make anything happen or anything like that. I guess I don't know.
Uh, no, in the past I have covered Gamergate as a part of this class, but that ended up being dropped because number of weeks.
Hmm. It's too big of a topic. Um,
Right. There is that. And then there's also, oh, actually, yeah, I should mention this before class is over. There's no lecture next week because it's also the case that I'm giving all of my classes a week off to make up for the fact that there's no spring break. And I know that everyone is burned out, which also meant I had to take topics out. Yes, Kaz, you're welcome.
but like, so gaming, um, gaming is supposed to be a sequestered space, I guess, where, you know, because it's a little bit disassociated from the real world, you would hope that, or in an ideal world, I guess, it would be a place where you can sort of um, express yourself and not be like totally judged about it and stuff like that. Because you're basically, you've agreed to immerse yourself in this alternate reality, right? And the people that you're playing with, at some level have also made that agreement. And so to just be assholes to each other is just and to bring all these real world sort of trappings into the game is just really unfortunate. Um, like, there's definitely harassment and stuff like that goes on in this game, but that's because it goes on in every game, right? Or every multiplayer game. But um, I think a lot of that is, like, our society in general has an issue with America in general has an issue with, I guess, teaching people how to handle emotions
Oh,
and
yeah,
frustration.
for
And
sure.
we also have a masculinity problem in this country where everyone's trying to out penis each other. So um, all that sort of adds into it, but it isn't a sequestered thing. Like, this toxicity is everywhere, and so it isn't. I don't think it's like games are more toxic than other places. Um, and I don't think it necessarily has to do with age either. So, like, you can be in a, like, if you're 10, if you're hanging out with other 10-year-olds, they can be pretty assholey too, right?
I mean, yeah, that's just it. Like all of the things that you just said happen IRL. So I have a question for you, Dr. Chen, since we're kind of on this topic. Um, I know that this has happened to me. I'm wondering if it's happened to you. Do you ever find yourself in a position where people, and I mean not game scholars, because it's always not game scholars, basically trying to put you in a position where they want you to defend games because, and then they'll say things like games are so toxic, games melt your brain, games, whatever, these stereotypes.
But it's the same sort of endeavor of, like, defending television or defending, like, movies, you know,
Hmm.
um, or I guess not quite, but more like defending the fans of certain TV shows and stuff like that, right? Because we're talking about a community that's toxic, not necessarily uh, games themselves. Although, there's problems with certain games too, right?
Right.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I have. been in that position before. A lot less these days. But when I was first starting out, um, I had to sort of justify to my department why I wanted to look at World of Warcraft and stuff. And there were definitely some professors who were like, "Well, like, what's the worth of games, right?" Um, um, but it's a weird question to ask, I think, because one thing that I've come to realize is some people grow up on games, and their main form of socialization while they're kids growing up is through, talking to strangers, basically, who become not strangers,
Right.
right? Um, and there's a lot of beneficial things to socializing in this environment, I think. Um, just in terms of access to different ideas and like if you're a gay kid in like Midwest, like a small town in the Midwest, um, it's way easier to find an online community to hang out and where you feel like you belong than maybe your local you know
Anything.
non online whatever, right? Um, so I don't know. And now I'm just rambling. I don't even remember the question, but
The question was about stigmas against games.
oh yeah, and if I had to defend games,
Yeah,
um,
which I think was coming up for me because I've also found it to be less and less as games become more and more mainstream. However, like the conversations I've seen in academic and non-academic circles since COVID has started um, have really been weird around both games and online socialization. But I feel like in some ways there was this knee-jerk reaction to COVID and having to move online that like really set back conversations.
because it sort of automatically frames when you're not talking to someone face to face, it's less desirable than when you're talking to someone face to face, right? Because
Yes.
the default, because of COVID, is like, oh, we are now deprived of being able to talk to people face to face, and so that must be the preferred thing. Um, right? Is I think is what you're saying. I think
Right, of course, it
actually,
ignores the fact, though, that the grass is always green on the other side. You always want what is deprived of you.
right. Um, in reality, I rarely. I mean, I hated going to parties. It's not like it's not like I went to bars and stuff like that, anyways, right?
Uh,
Um, um, and I think the answer is going to be different for different people. But yeah, like so I kind of understand where you're coming from, I guess. I've seen the opposite though. There's articles out there that have been saying how great like Animal Crossing is, because it's been this respite for a lot of people, and you can sort of hang out with each other and stuff like that. And um, Valheim is really popular right now. Among Us was really popular, or I guess still is really popular, and I think part of it is because of COVID. Like, you're able to basically hang out with people through this gaming platform and still sort of maintain a semblance of being social, I guess.
mm-hmm.
Um, or not even semblance, like definitely being social.
Right.
And in some cases, it's been a change for certain people, and for other people, it's been like, oh, this is what I've been doing all my life, anyways.
Yeah, I think I've seen it going both ways. Actually, that reminds me, if you're free next Wednesday, you should pop over to my private channel because I'm going to be streaming Among Us with my department. They agreed to this.
Awesome.
Dang! Yeah, I'm both excited and nervous. We've had a couple of new hires, so like um, a couple of the people who will be here, I've never interacted with socially. I've only interacted with them in meetings. Um, so it'll be like a first time, and I'm gonna stream it because
Well, I mean, I'm not doing anything. Next week is spring break for me.
Oh,
Um,
lucky you, getting a spring break.
yeah, I do get spring break, except it's basically like course design week.
Right. Exactly, Mago. A good way to make friends with coworkers, stab them and vent. That's what I thought. Wait, what?
Well, so
No.
the article I read about Among Us was like, okay, yes, you are learning how to be deceptive, but you are also learning cooperation skills. Like when, if you're on the team, I mean, so if you are the um, betrayer or whatever it's called in Among Us, um, the person killing everyone else, or on the team that's killing everyone else. You do have to, by the nature of the game, you have to be deceptive against everyone else. That's what makes it fun, right? But when you're on the other team, uh, you do kind of have to cooperate with each other in trying to figure out who the bad guys are. Um, so you are learning that stuff as well. So it isn't only a game about lying to people, but it's also a game about learning how to really, really efficiently communicate because like you only get like 30 seconds or whatever the hell that time is. Um,
I've also never played, 'cause I polled the channel and asked, should I noob it up or should I practice beforehand? And of course, they all voted noob it up.
mhm.
So
I haven't played either,
all these fun things converging. But actually, class is about over, so we should probably head back to Crossroads so that we can.
so we can park there for another year.
Yeah, exactly. And then we can. No, it'll be less than a year, right? Because I'll have you come back in the fall
Oh, okay,
if you
sure.
want. I think you didn't come last fall because the timing or whatever didn't work out. I don't know. Or maybe I fucked it up and didn't ask you soon enough. I don't know.
I don't know.
Um, but I'd love to have you back because I love these conversations. They're great, and then it gives me an excuse to talk to you.
Yeah, yeah, they're always fun. The questions are always different too, so that's pretty cool.
Um, yeah. All right. So I'll stop stream in a minute here. If there's any last minute questions, go to Discord. Because class is over. We do not have lecture next week for real. I don't know why people always ask me if it's true when I say it. Like, I'm the teacher. It's true. I am not trying to like mess with you here. I am doing this because spring break got canceled. Um, so all of my classes are getting a bye week. You're welcome. I know it's not the same as having spring break because I know you'll still have all the other classes, but I personally can't do anything about that. So,
I implore you not to go out partying, not wearing masks. I don't know if Madison has had this problem, but UW Seattle definitely has. On Frat Row, we keep having these parties. Um,
it's gotten better. The fall was really bad. We had a massive outbreak in the fall. Um, but people have been getting better. But also, our vaccination in Wisconsin has been, our vaccination rate has been pretty good.
hmm,
Um,
even kids? I mean, even college age people?
No, I don't think we've gotten down to college age. So they've been, after they got the 65 and over, they actually switched to not age. So like, um, they did like certain professions. They did like teachers just became eligible, frontline workers. Um, I think grocery store workers are about to come up, but there is definitely a scenario where, depending on, say, somebody in this class's job, that they have been eligible already. Um, certain medical oh yeah, someone just told me grocery store workers are currently getting it. There's a whole list of medical things that they will become eligible on March 29th. Yeah, so if anybody doesn't know that, if you have any kind of chronic something or another, I do not know the whole list, but I know that things like heart disease, diabetes are on there, and a couple other um, It's the 29th where most of Wisconsin is eligible. Yes, that's also true. On the 29th, most of Wisconsin becomes eligible. And the reason it's most is because they also included BMI. And it turns out that over half of Wisconsin is considered overweight. And if you are overweight, you become eligible on the 29th. Um, I saw that on a news clip last night. They were talking about it.
If you're right on the edge, you just start eating right now.
Yeah, I wonder. I don't know how they're gonna do that with BMI. Like, are they just gonna eyeball it? I don't know. The school has almost 100 open appointments yesterday. Um, I don't know what to tell you. Anything for low BMI? Nope. Um, but also, I am not the person to go to for COVID shot information. That's not my job. Literally, all the information I know is coming either from Facebook, because people are clipping and adding news to it, or the emails that go out to the entire university that you also get. Maybe you don't read them, but like the weekly like news that goes to everybody with a whisk.edu, yeah, there are updates on the COVID shots. The doctor and Dr. Malone, I am not that kind of doctor. Um, yes, oh, thank you. Somebody linked the DHS site. That is great. All right, but yeah, class is over. Thanks for all the great questions. I will invite Dr. Chen to the Discord. Um, so that he can either decide to continue chatting and or ignore it. Either way is fine. This is not his job. Um, and I will see everybody in 2 weeks. Bye. And thank you, Dr. Chen, for coming.
Sure thing.
What is that?
It's the Korean symbol for I love you.
Oh.
K-pop. It's like the K-pop symbol.
Oh. The only
It's a
one
little
I've ever
heart.
seen is the ASL. I love you. Bye.